No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today I'm here with my friend Drama. Drama, how you doing?
What's up, Adam? I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is cool. I really appreciate you having me.
No doubt, man. I'm very happy to be here. We did a podcast that I think went over pretty well.
Yep, very well.
Maybe 3-4 months ago.
Yep.
And we've been meaning to do this ever since. And yeah, I'm excited to get in here. I'm excited to dig in and learn some shit with a fellow entrepreneur, a very successful guy over here.
Thank you. And same, I'm excited to, you're killing the game when it comes to this podcasting thing. And really, ever since I first started mine, I always asked people, who should I interview?
Mm-hmm.
And you were always one of the most common people, which just shows like how tapped in you are to this audience, you know?
I've always considered myself a common person.
Well, you're not now, Adam. You are now a media celebrity.
Really?
Yep.
You feel that way?
I do.
I appreciate that. You're a celebrity too. How's that going for you?
I don't like that word.
You don't?
Nah, I hate it.
Okay.
I hate it. But it's, yeah, I'm just trying to build my podcast audience, you know, do that sort of thing.
You meet a girl, she says, what do you do? What do you say?
Well, it depends on how she looks.
She looks like Carmen Electra about 20 years ago.
I say, I do a little
I'm
bit
a
of
celebrity
everything.
is the answer.
I count money, ma'am. Do you want to talk? No, it depends on who it is, right? Like I'll say, sometimes I'll say I work at a clothing line. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll say I have a clothing line. Usually I go to clothing because it's a little bit more, right?
Right.
It depends on who it is.
Isn't that weird how you do different things in your life and you have to adjust to saying that you do different things? Like for you, for a while, I was on a TV show. You probably for a while really didn't even have to tell anybody what you were doing, right? Do you feel that way?
Kind of, yeah. There was a big chunk of time when that's how it was. But I also never really liked right, what's your title? Like I'm on a TV show and then it's like, well, what one? Well, it's on MTV. It's a reality show. That just sounds bad, right? So, you're a reality star. So I never liked that either. So as soon as I started Young and Reckless, I instantly latched on to, I'm a clothing line owner, not a TV guy. Because,
yeah, you relate to things. Like, I remember when I went from, like, when I even opened the shop at first, then I got to go from saying I own a BMX website to I own a shop downtown. Yeah. Oh, that sounds like that. Even though in reality, you'd probably rather own like a big media company than own like a store. But the store just made so much more sense to people that it was so much easier to explain.
It's so true. And it's funny where we get like our own personal satisfaction from. You know what I mean? Like there's just certain things that I don't like saying. I hated saying reality star or TV guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's just where you place your... sounds a lot cooler to have a BMX shop and have a clothing line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I still don't know if I should say, I own a shop on Melrose or I interview rappers.
That's tough. You want to know the hard thing is like you can't say like I have a really cracking podcast and YouTube, and because even though it's huge, it doesn't translate.
A lot of people don't know what a podcast is. A lot of people, they don't know you can make money on YouTube. It's yeah, you kind of have to play to the lowest common denominator, and I think it's good to undersell yourself and then eventually tell them that you're doing more than you said.
Yeah, or you could just pull up your Rolling Stone article.
You could do that.
That's pretty good, like Peacock.
What would be your version of that, though? You ever get any media you were real hyped on?
You know, my easiest, lowest hanging fruit impression is just my Instagram followers, right? Just because I feel like most of them are like old MTV fans that aren't even engaged anymore, but it still looks cool. It looks like I'm somebody important. So I think that's like everyone understands Instagram followers. So that's probably that. But yeah, I mean, if you Google me, it's just filled with the most embarrassing MTV press photos still.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
You can pull that up and be like, well, here's my days when I was a child star.
we gotta fill in the gap between your birth and you being a famous celebrity clothing line operator. You were born where?
Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio.
Yeah.
And so what was your childhood like? How would you describe it?
So childhood was mom and dad still both together. Income was sort of, I don't know. We never felt like we didn't have money, but they chose to not use the expense on having cable television, right? Like I never had cable my whole childhood. So that's kind of where we landed.
Right.
But it never felt like we didn't know where our next meal was going to come from. I have an older brother.
That in and of itself, right, is kind of a weird, like, it feels weird to have grown up in the gray area as well. Yeah. That I can't be like, I was poor, but also like, I didn't get like a video game system. I had to like save up for 2 Christmases in a row.
Yeah, it's hard to explain that. Right? Like I'm in the middle ground.
Middle class is not fun to be in 2017 or 2018, excuse me.
And it can mean anything. anything. Like I feel like there's such a big difference between the experience of a kid and the different levels of the middle class, right? So it's hard to explain, but you can use kind of the cable TV reference or the like one vacation a year to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in a minivan. That kind of gives you an idea.
People here on the West Coast don't understand the concept of like growing up on the East Coast or Midwest, and then you dip down to Florida for the
That's
winter.
The big move.
That big week, the drive.
Big move.
We drove. We didn't even fly. When I think back on that, I'm like, what the fuck? I feel like it might have been more expensive to drive.
You would think that it has to be. Right. I think that it's just that to my family, flying was like such a big undertaking, right? And what felt nice and comfy was packing that minivan full of all of your stuff and throwing on the Walkman and just going for it, right? Like my parents I meet my parents in Nashville for Thanksgiving every single year, and because it's kind of closer for me to fly to, I have an aunt and uncle that live there, and they drive to Nashville every year, and I'm like, at this point, you have to be able to get a flight for so cheap, and that's an hour and a half flight or something, right? Like, but they just prefer the like control of being able to drive.
I get that in a lot of ways. I still have never flown to Vegas. I always drive
every time,
and I don't know why. Because when I really think about it, I'm like, damn, 45 minutes versus like 5 hours in the car.
But you think you like the experience?
I think driving? It's the same thing. It's the comfort. It's like, damn, I have my car in that hotel. I can wake up after a fucking bender and just drive my ass home, and somehow that feels good to me.
It's like a safety blanket.
It's also, I'm kind of like new to having money, so I'm just like not used to doing like cool rich guy shit, like buying a flight to go like right down the street.
You got to do it. It's worth it. But I will say that the completely hungover, wanting to puke Vegas airport Southwest flight is one of the most miserable places I have ever been in life, right? Where at least in a car you can like pull over and puke or like puke in a bucket or whatever.
Right.
So when you're around other people, you're like, I feel terrible.
I think I would still be thinking, damn, this is like 45 minutes as opposed to like a 5-hour drive. So
that's true. You just hold your puke.
Okay. Enough about vacation.
Yes. So that's what my family looked like. I have an older brother who's 4 years older. We got into skateboarding, I think when I was probably like 10 or 12, and so my brother 14, 16, and that was literally all we wanted to do every day, all day. I think that obviously that was influenced by our cousin Rob, who we did the show and stuff with, but we didn't know him then. He had already lived in California the whole time we remember, right?
And did you know of him as this big skateboarder pro?
So we knew our cousin was a pro skateboarder. So before we skated, we knew he was a pro skateboarder, but we didn't really know what that meant. Like he could have been like a professional motocross racer. We just knew it was cool, but we didn't know what the hell it meant. So I think that we were probably influenced by that young, and we got skateboards and whatever, started skating, fell in love with it. That's all we did. I didn't play any sports. I didn't do anything. I just went to school when I had to, went over to my same friend's house every day, skated all day over and over.
And you're how old right now?
I am 31.
31. So, okay. So you're 3 years younger than me, but approximately the same. Were you, did you have a skate park or were you skating street or?
Yeah, we had a skate park that we would go to every day in like sort of closer to downtown Akron, just a public outdoor skate park. We'd always go there to like, that was the warm up spot. And then you go drive around the city and just try to find skate spots, right? So we just had our mini, in skateboarding, it's all about like going out in the streets and, filming and getting footage and shit and trying to make videos. And like that's part of how I paid for my trip to LA was I filmed and edited a skate video about all the Akron kids.
Right.
So we would go street skate. We would act like we were big skate stars. We made a video, and that was literally every day. Meet up at the skate park.
What style of video? How would you describe it in retrospect?
It was a mini version of what skate videos are, right? So I did like the intro where I just made it look like we were all like a skate team, right? And then I had a part, my boy had a part. There was like 7 parts. And then the final part was my brother because he was the best. And then we had a premiere for it. And I went around to all the other skate shops and sold them the DVD so that everyone could see like what the Akron crew was up to.
Where did you edit it? It wasn't like
Final Cut.
Final Cut, okay.
Right when Final Cut. Like I had one of those big, beefy, like white Macs. And I remember that thing was just my baby. And then I had Final Cut.
When I first started around BMX, the kid in the town who had made like a local video, he had edited it like VCR to VCR type. Yeah. I'm not even sure exactly how that works, but I just remember hearing about it. And it's like, oh, that's why there are no transitions and shit.
No, that's the real deal.
That's some gangster shit.
Yeah, that was probably like 5 years before my time.
Yeah. So wait, but you said that video was how you ended up getting out of your town?
Yeah. So there was 3 ways that I made money. I made I think $1,500 from my graduation. Like my whole family, they gave me graduation money.
12th grade. graduating high school.
Yeah. I didn't go to college. So yeah, I made like, I think $1,000-$1,200 from that. I made like $2,000 from selling this skate DVD around town. And then I had this racket going where I was stealing iPods. I figured out how to steal iPods perfectly from Best
the store.
Buy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I would, it was the perfect thing where
your friends, for the record, are like, hell yeah.
Dude, street
Theft.
So
I did a lot of shoplifting too, my friend. We could talk about that the whole rest of this time.
Yeah, and I had a good racket where like you would literally take the thing, you could flip the box, put it back so you couldn't see through the clear part that there was no iPod in there. You go into Best Buy and say, I'm just taking this to get repaired. They give you a pink sticker that says you can go in and out with it.
Oh my God.
You swap the box out and put
That's
the
a
pink
jug.
sticker on it.
Nice.
And I would just sell them at school. I was the iPod guy.
You could do that every day.
Every day.
Oh my
Printing
God,
money.
that's
So then,
brutal.
so I think I made like, I don't know, $1,200 or $1,500 off that, but that's where I compiled the money from.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and this was your goal at this point, was just to get the fuck out of Ohio and go to LA?
It was, man. I'm going to be honest. My real goal was got to move to LA because that's like skateboard capital. Ohio sucks. For me, I get a lot
And
of
you
hate.
knew that at this point already. You were like, there's nothing for me here. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, because I'd seen LA and we had came here a couple times on vacation, and I knew that like I just had to get here. So at that point, I knew I wasn't good enough to be a pro skateboarder. So I thought maybe I could be like a video guy or something. So this is a story I always tell too. Is like I really, truly, my wildest dreams were to live in a studio apartment in LA, anywhere, work in the skateboard industry anywhere. Skate shop, whatever, and just be able to pay bills in LA. That was like as far as my ceiling went, you know?
But I mean, shit, when you're 18 and you're living in a small town, I could say that my dream of like moving to New York, I hadn't even gotten to that point of like having a real job or like, you know, that was like unapproachable in terms of how big that must have seemed.
Funny how that works, man. It's funny how like you set your wildest dreams and then you just sort of, I mean, you and I both, I think, are similar where like you do it and then what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing? And it just led to this whole thing. But
probably 85% of the people out there are like watching this thinking like, how the fuck am I going to move to LA and work in an industry I like and, you know, be able to make money doing that. So.
But you know what else is I think part of the problem is like people set the goal too big and then of course you can't do that, right? Like if you're in Minnesota watching right now and you're like, well, I want to move to LA, but I want to work in the record industry and I want to blah, blah. Like you're screwed. If you do what you did and think I just got to get to LA and the rest will work itself out then maybe you have a chance.
You could probably do one or the other. You could move to LA and work at Best Buy or work at a restaurant or some shit, but you live in LA. Or you could stay in Ohio and probably like do a good job of pursuing your passions and stuff. But in terms of, you know, if you're a skater or whatever, but to do both is a little tricky. And, you know, sometimes I think that people aren't ready for how intensely competitive it is in LA. Like if you want to work in a creative field out here,
they're not ready at all. I don't think in the world people are really prepared for that, to be honest. I think a lot of people, not to diagnose the American public, but like I don't think they're ready for how competitive any industry truly is. Like if you have a passion, it's nuts. I mean, every day still I get the shit kicked out of me. You know what I mean? Like there's not a cheat code or whatever, but I think people, that happens to them once and they're like, oh man, I don't deserve this, and then you back out.
You gotta be crazy resilient if you want to really be able to make it doing anything. I'm just gonna take a quick aside for a moment to say that this episode is sponsored by NoJumper.com. I'm basically a walking billboard for it right now. Head on over there. We got all kinds of good stuff. We got kendamas, we got all our own merch, we got stuff from other brands, and I'm gonna let you do it too. I can't just promote my shit and not let you do it.
Co-sponsored by YoungAndReckless.com. As you can see, I am also covered in Young and Reckless. Adam and I are very colorful today. Head over to Young and Reckless, and you know what? You can use the promo code SSL, which is for Short Story Long, get 40% off all your items.
On our end, no code. Maybe I should have a code, but we don't. So
There you go.
yeah, pay full price. NoJumper.com.
I'm a nice guy.
Okay, so so your big plan to move to LA.
Yeah.
And how do you actually like make it go into effect? Were your parents supportive of this? How did it go down?
Yeah, so here's how it went down. I had all this money together. My plan was to move like the moment I graduated, right? So graduate high school, move to LA. Right after high school, literally the weekend after my graduation, I drove down to this skate park opening in Dayton, Ohio. The last day of the thing, I'm skating to the car. I go to just ollie down a set of 7 stairs. Something went wrong, whatever. I ended up hitting my head on the concrete really hard. So it put me into a coma for 4 days, brain bleeding, skull fracture, concussions.
Were you just really not paying attention and like taking it too casual when you tried this?
Yeah. So here's what happened. I don't remember. I remember eating breakfast and waking up 4 days later. Still, I don't remember anything. But they told me that what happened was I was taking it too easy. I didn't pop my tail off of it, so I just sort of soared off. And I went to bail and just kicked the board away, but I missed the kick. So I landed back on the board facing forward, and it just whiplashed me straight to the cement, right? And so I woke up 4 days later, and I had a blood clot in my brain from the skull fracture. And keep in mind, like, I couldn't read. I didn't know how to use my beloved Mac. Food had no taste. It was super weird. All that stuff just came back to me, but whatever. So I kept having to go get CAT scans every month to see if the blood clot had went away before I could leave. So finally in November, that was June, finally in November, the doctor was like, look, it hasn't gone away, but I think by now you would have been having like seizures or something if this was something serious. So you can just go ahead and go, and if you start having seizures, come back. So I'm like, all right, man, I'm out. So the big thing was this. My parents were supportive. They also just knew that there was no other option for me. So when I was 14 and my brother was 18, we had came to LA for a skate trip, and my brother was incredibly good at skating. And we met up with Rob, and Rob saw him skate and was like, oh man, like you actually skate. You're actually good.
And at this point, how would you describe where Rob was at in his career?
Rob was it was right before he filmed, I don't know if you remember, but the DC Shoes video, which is where Big Black actually first made the appearance.
Okay, I remember this, yeah.
So that's where he was. Like, he was a well-known pro skateboarder that was witty and did cool skits and stuff.
Right.
But that was it.
So hadn't really graduated to like full-on celebrity, but he's kind of at the peak of his skate career in terms of actually skating / being a funny dude.
Yeah, and like that's what really, the DC video with Big Black is what sparked what ended up becoming Robin Big 5 years later.
I remember seeing the part, and then all of a sudden it's a TV show, and being like, damn, they really fucking stretched that into something else. Wow.
Really scaled that idea. But so that's where he was. He told my brother, look, you should come stay with me for the summer, because he was filming the DC video. And he's like, come stay with me while I'm filming this video. You're really good. I think you could be pro. So my brother said, of course. Went and stayed with him for 3 months. I am 14 years old, back in Ohio, devastated that he has the opportunity of a lifetime. And I will never have this opportunity, because by the time I'm 18, Rob's going to be married, blah, blah, blah.
And you're 14, you think that's the end of the road.
The world is over. And my brother is like, literally just got handed a lottery ticket.
Right.
So when I turned 18, Rob luckily wasn't married, whatever. I called him and I'm like, hey man, you let my brother stay with you when he was 18. Just give me 3 months. You give him 3 months, give me 3 months. And he's like, all right. Fine.
So your brother's skate career didn't go anywhere?
No, he made a good run, but I think it just...
Oh, it's incredibly competitive, yeah.
It's just hard.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
You have to be unbelievable to be a pro skater.
Yeah, just so like be able to take such a beating, literally. I mean,
even
we're talking
20
about
years ago, it still was ridiculous.
Yeah. So, so then he was like, "Sure, go ahead." And so I moved. So he let me stay with him for a few months. So that's how I originally moved. So I got off the plane. He picked me up. Went to his house. That's where the name Drama came from, because my old email address was causing drama because I just loved too much rap music or something, right? And so he's like, he told everyone, this is my cousin Drama. He's an aspiring rapper. He's moving from Ohio. That wasn't true. He's moving from Ohio. Everyone just be nice to him. So I remember getting there. There's all these older dudes. And Big Black, that's when Big Black was actually living with Rob.
Right.
So they're having barbecues, whatever. That just became my new life.
So Rob's already on TV at this point?
No.
Oh, okay.
So at this point, where we were was there was some interest in turning their whole thing into a TV show. But as far as the interest had went was MTV had said, you know what, put some cameras in the house, like just handheld cameras. And if anything crazy happens, just film it. And we'll try to wrap our heads around what you mean, and maybe it can become something. So I remember there was cameras there. I remember, these guys were partying and his friends were getting in fist fights, and I was just like, and they were filming it, and I'm just like, what the hell did I move into, right?
So it was like a big ass house and just a bunch of people staying there and just partying every night and shit.
And he used to have so much more of like an open door policy. Like it was just him and Big Black were the only ones that really lived there, but everyone would just come over every day, and you could just walk in, and they would probably be barbecuing or whatever, and like that's how they used to just live, which seems so crazy to me now.
Yeah, I used to live like that too. When I think about it, when I was like 23, like we would rent a house house or whatever, and it would just be foolery, like every night. Crazy. You have 5 of my friends want to come and stay on the ground. All right. I don't relate to that anymore.
Not at all.
I can't even imagine letting one person stay at my house now.
All. And he was like, 30, I forget how old he was, but he was like 33 or something. And I think about it now at 31, and I'm like, I could never do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it was really fun for me when I was 18, 19. But so that's where it was at. It was like there's a possibility of doing an MTV show one day, but we didn't know what that meant. We didn't know anything. It wasn't a year later, until a year and 4 months later, till the show got bought. But throughout that whole process was like, okay, we filmed some footage. That's kind of funny. We have a crew of guys come in and actually film some stuff. Oh, there's something here. And it just evolved and evolved and evolved. I mean, one day there was a day when literally the MTV kept pushing for it to be like Rob's Rules of Success and Rob Dyrdek's Best Friends and like really kind of MTV-y. Yeah. And to his credit, he was like, trust me, man, this is like an odd couple buddy comedy. And we just go around and do crazy stuff. Trust me. So I had to kind of get there over like a year of shooting. And there was like 12 different edits of the pilot and this whole process. But one day there was literally all the MTV execs in the living room with wires, because I guess you had to do that then, up to the cameras. And we're like sitting at the kitchen counter and they're in the living room out of sight yelling, like, give more, do more, show them the shirt you got, do the, and like we're like, oh, like trying to figure out a reality show. Yeah. So sure enough, in the end, it turned out that Rob's idea was the right one, and that's what ended up birthing Rob and Big.
Right. Yeah. So what were you doing in LA up until that happened, though? Like, what was an average day? What were you pursuing?
So I came here for 3 months, applied at all the skate shops, did all that stuff. Then, right as I was leaving to go back to Ohio, Rob said, do you want to be my assistant? His assistant had quit. And I'm like, man, I don't know what an assistant is or does. I really didn't know what it was. And all of his friends told me, don't do it. It's going to ruin your relationship, because he's pretty brutal when he works. He's really funny, but when he's working, he's very serious. And they're like, that's going to ruin your relationship. Don't do it, whatever. I was like, look, it's this or the skate shop. So yeah, I'll give it a shot. So really, when I came back, I went back to Ohio, regrouped, got my stuff, realized I was really going to move. When I came back, I instantly went into working as his assistant, just pre-TV. So it was, driving around. I'd literally wake up every day, be at his house by, I think, 8:30, make coffee, fold laundry, this real low-level assistant work.
What kind of stuff was he doing at the time? You were just driving around? Was he doing meetings and stuff all day?
Yeah, skating, and then he was also like, he'd go have a meeting at Monster Energy, and he'd work out a new deal down at DC, and he was always very business-driven. So yeah, it was a lot of driving around and meetings and Spy Eyewear and all of his different sponsors. And, he was always moving around. But I was very like, in the beginning, I was very like laundry, dishes, scrub the floor,
Right.
Like
so then the show starts. Yeah. And were you like a big part of it from the very beginning, or how did your role become established?
So how that went was, we started shooting this show. And so obviously now in the house where there's an open door policy, that creates like an issue, right? Because now people are coming and going and everyone sees this like, shit, we want to be on TV, right? So
that's the problem we got here too.
I bet.
They want to be on fucking YouTube.
I bet. That's the new MTV, right? Yeah. So naturally you can imagine it just was a clusterfuck. And MTV eventually, like the producers and stuff had to say like, look, nobody can come over. Like, this has to be way more controlled. You can't just pop into a scene, whatever. And so they came to me at one point before the show had ever aired, while we were still trying to figure it out. And they were like, look, we know that you're here every day. We know that you're Rob's assistant, but like, you're not a character on this show. So just be mindful. Like, if you're carrying a pile of laundry, stay out of the frame, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, yes, sir, got it. And
brutal. That's mean.
Yeah, I know, right? But obviously, in the back of my mind, I knew I want to get involved in this. Like, there's action here, right? So I don't know what it is, but I want to get in. So it literally started with one day. They were doing a scene where Big Black had fallen skateboarding, and they decided they wanted to rub Icy Hot on his butt. And Rob called me and was like, yo, I need you to rub Icy Hot on my man's butt here. And I remember I was like, nah, man, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that. And he's like, come on, man. Like, blah, blah. And you kind of knew, like, if you want to be on the show, here's how you, right? And I'm like, bro, I can't do it. And I remember I backed out. And that night, I was like, did you just blow it? Did you just blow your whole future by not rubbing Icy Hot on this man's butt? And I was like, I was really torn. Like, I was really torn that night, Wow. And so that ended up being like the third episode. And they actually put it in, me not doing it. And then there was another, something else would happen where they'd be like, hey, you know, can you climb in this dog cage and we're going to throw it in the pool? You know, and I'm like, yeah, all right. You know, and that's where like my early reputation of being like just getting shit on every episode, that's how it happened. Because then I saw like, yeah, this is my way in. You know what I mean? If I want to be involved, I'm climbing in this dog cage. And so I just went for it. But that's where that ended up being my dynamic and my role on the show, right? It's these two best friends and then the little cousin who you can kind of pick on downstairs. So I think I was on like 2 or 3 episodes of the first season, didn't get paid or anything. And then the second season, I think I made like 4 episodes, like $1,000 an episode. And just slowly, it just became like I just kept always what I kept in mind and what I pay so much attention to today is I always tried to find my place in the dynamic. You know, like don't try to be Rob. Don't try to be big, right? If you're trying to add value, find the hole and fill that.
Exactly. Yeah. And even what you're describing, you're talking about, you know, a process of, you know, 3-4 years where you're fucking doing laundry, you're just hanging out, blah, blah, blah. You're just hanging out before you even get to the point of being the assistant. A lot of people out there want to make it. They can't even imagine the assistant stage.
Yeah, it was terrible. And I know, and this is the thing, I know that it's hard to understand that it was terrible. Because a lot of people just see it on TV and they're like, bro, you had the best life ever. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But I was literally like having anxiety attacks and like calling my mom and like, I just don't think I can do this. Because it was like you're folding laundry and like literally mopping the entire wood floor of the whole house. Then you get called up to go like get thrown in the pool. Then you go downstairs. Then Rob needs you to run and do this thing for an hour. Then you know, and it was like legitimately I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Crazy overwhelmed. But, you know, it obviously ended up paying off in the long run. But it was a lot. It was a weird crash course in LA life.
Yeah. And were the whole time, were you sort of resentful of the fact that you were sort of playing the bitch on the show? Or did it take a while for that to wear off?
No. Okay, here's how it went for me.
When you eventually graduated to becoming not that role, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you the part that sucked. When I was doing it, it didn't suck because it was just, there was so much going on. It was so entertaining that I didn't have a chance to think about like sort of how I was painting myself, right? And then, you know, everyone starts to get famous and then you have all this weird stuff, right? You're taking these weird trips to Vegas and so that's all like incredible. So my life just went through this crazy transition in those first like 3 years where I didn't have time to think about that stuff. The only part when it annoyed me is I think that as I got older, like 26, 27, and I was working so hard on Young and Reckless and I felt like I had came so far and people still when you were out and about people would remember you as that character and so they would be like drama like who you shit in the pool dude like what's you know and you're like fuck man you know and so there was like probably a year window where I got like annoyed you know but like without all of that I never would have had what I have now so it's kind of like that's the price I paid
right
but then I graduated I think really in the last 2 years especially with the podcast and stuff like that, like people now know what I'm really on and like, you know, and I don't think I don't really get it much anymore.
Yeah. You're a bit more distanced from the stuff back then, you know?
Yeah. It just doesn't affect me really any, but it was great. I mean, it's great.
Yeah. But at a certain point you graduated to doing ridiculousness. Was that just like a straight, like Rob went straight from having this show to this show and he gave you like a much more formal, cool role?
That was Fantasy Factory.
Oh, okay. So there was that and then ridiculousness.
Yeah. So the way that it worked was, so Rob and Big, we did 3 seasons. It was this crazy hit, did really well, whatever. Especially Rob and Big Black, didn't like doing it. Like you're spending all day, Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. just messing around. And it sounds fun, but after 3 seasons, you're like, I got to actually do some real work.
In the house, just doing whatever.
Yeah, like racing turtles down the... You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell?
And how much of that was like the MTV coming to you and being like, okay, these are the things that we want you guys to do?
It was all Rob, man.
Oh.
He is a genius.
Really?
When it comes to like... It would come from this. It would be like... Big Black would be like, look at this shit, man. There's a YouTube video of these guys racing turtles. And Rob would be like, that's what we need to do. We need an episode where you and I get the best, fastest turtles in all of California. And then we find a tournament. We go to it, and you and I dress up in outfits and race our turtles. And it would just be this hilarious episode of TV. And he would just come up with it, usually based on something real life. But he would take it all into this totally other lane. So the MTV like writers and stuff were there. They were good at like, look, we're having trouble getting from when you buy the turtles to like the first race. Right. Here's what I think. You know, I think maybe if you guys went to a park and tried it first, that would be a good intermediate. You know, so they were good at that. But he was like, when it came to the overall concept, he was just brilliant. So we just got tired of doing it. It was 3 seasons. they were just over it. Big Black had just had a baby, and he was about to move to Texas to take care of the baby and just be free of like Hollywood life. And so we just stopped. We just told MTV, they told MTV, we're done with it. We just don't want to do it anymore. So we thought we were done with reality TV forever. MTV came back about a year later and said, look, we want Rob. You're a familiar face. You can do whatever you want. Just come up with a concept, please. And I was the only one that was there. Big Black was gone. So it was me and him, and that's where he came up with the idea for Fantasy Factory, and then we shot that. And the reason why I had so much more of a prominent role was because it was just Big Black was gone. So it was just me and him, and so we just kind of went for it. It was just, Rob and his cousin in this big building doing ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, both shows you're doing ridiculous stuff, but you kind of created like an environment that was a little bit more hospitable for it. Was that the idea?
Yeah, I think it was always like, what happened was this. Rob and Big Black are so ridiculous together. Let's do a show about that. Fantasy Factory was Rob saying, look, we don't want to sit and just mess around all day. We want to actually work on real work. So why don't we do a show that's like this kind of like Willy Wonka, but it's all based around businesses. It was always like a DC episode or a Wild Grinders Toys episode or Young and Reckless or whatever, and then we just had fun within it. So it's like, how do you show this like wish fulfillment TV but not have people sitting in meetings and boring business talk,
Right.
And that was it. And then it just turned into like, foam pits and zip lines and like literally Willy Wonka.
When did you start to feel like you were famous?
I think it was, for me, it was really gradual, right? Because so I'm on like 3 episodes of Rob and Big. So like you get noticed in this weird places. I would say by the 3rd season of Rob and Big, I started to get recognized like by myself. I think probably like the 2nd season of Fantasy Factory, because I was such a big part of that. That's when like you're walking down the street and people are like calling you out, right? So probably then.
Yeah.
But that word, even celebrity fame, I just hate it.
But did you have you always had a good relationship with it, or was there ever a point where it was getting to the point where you were kind of like, oh, this is bad. This is like annoying as fuck. I hate this.
It was almost that the whole time. I hate it. And here's what I always say too. Like, number one, here's the things to consider. Like I was a pretty antisocial, like to myself dude in Ohio. Then I moved here. I had no goal of being famous. I just wanted in on the action. So I had no like motivation to be famous. And then you're famous for nothing. Like it's not like people are coming up to you and like, Adam, that interview you did with so-and-so changed my life.
Right.
Or to a musician and saying your music has helped me through whatever. They come up to you and are like, did you shit in the pool? You know what I mean? It's like you're not really, it's not a good way to connect with people. So it just felt very like people would just call you out and be like, can I get a picture? And it just, for me, it always felt like intrusive, and like I really had to adjust to it. You know what I mean?
You say you were famous for no reason in a lot of ways. Was starting Young and Reckless like your way of rectifying that? Like you wanted to like have something that you could be proud of in your life?
So I don't put it that way. I put it more like I always wanted, my goal was to obviously be successful, but to have a successful life of my own in LA, right? That's all I wanted after I graduated from just wanting a studio apartment. And so I first started by like making music, right? By producing music. And I was doing all the background music for Rob and Big and did some music with some artists at the time, but it just didn't work out. I didn't love it. So Young and Reckless was just kind of the next idea. And to be honest, Young and Reckless was me saying, look, I've always been interested in clothing, but I was never like designer guy, right? It was just, I'm on this platform. It's a great way to launch a clothing brand. It's not a great way to launch a music production career, but I can launch a clothing brand through here. And here's an idea for a brand that actually means something and could be way bigger than me. And this is a good vehicle to do it. And so I launched it with the hopes of that being what took me away from reality TV land. You know what I mean? And sure, I wanted the respect and I wanted the clout, but it was more like, I always knew reality TV was like the launching pad to being able to have a real business. I just didn't know what that business was in the beginning. Yeah. You know?
When, okay, so by the time ridiculousness comes around though, like what's your attitude on, like when did you start the clothing line in comparison to the shows?
Clothing? Okay, so Rob and Big was like ages ago.
Right.
Fantasy Factory started, I think, in like 2008, and then I started Young and Reckless in 2009.
Okay.
And then Fantasy Factory did like 8 or 9 seasons, and then he went off and did Ridiculousness. I've only been on a couple episodes of that.
Oh, okay.
I'm on a new one that he just started called Amazingness, which is just another version. But I went and did a couple of those. But that, I remember at the time he was like, I have this show, and he was starting to put it together, and I didn't want to be involved. Like Young and Reckless had started to be successful, and I wanted to find my way out.
Right.
You know, and like separate. Even the last season of Fantasy Factory, I think season 9, I almost didn't do it. I just couldn't take myself serious enough to say no. But like I was like, man, I love my life without doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to like separate.
At a certain point, what did it just start to feel kind of silly, or was it just not worth it anymore?
Yeah, like I said, it was like taxing. Like you go down there all day, every day, and you're driving around town and you're shooting. Like it doesn't feel like you're just messing around at that point. Like it feels like you're shooting a show, and I just it was taxing, and I didn't like the fame element. I just didn't love it. You know, like the only part that I miss and that I loved was the actual environment of going down there every day and having like a family of people to mess around with. Right. Like that was fun. I did miss that when it was over. I didn't expect that, but the whole process I didn't love. You know,
you were talking about like adjusting to LA life earlier. Did you go through the like 18-year-old kid moving to Los Angeles? I have to do a ton of drugs and drink and fuck all these girls. Did you get crazy as fuck for a while, or how'd that go?
Yeah, like not too bad. Like I never really went too heavy in drugs. But like partying, girls, like obviously also like I'm on TV, and like there was a run where I was doing like club appearances. Like I would do club appearances in literally Salt Lake City. And in Salt Lake City, as the star of Fantasy Factory, you know, like
it's a celebrity dick drought out there.
Oh my God.
You're gonna
like,
fill that
king
void.
of the world. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely did it. I definitely milked it, but I never. Luckily, I don't know why it's just not in my instincts to go too hard on like drugs and like stuff that could have really derailed me. But yeah, I mean, like when I thought I was like really killing it, like reality star guy, I had my run. Yeah.
Oh, good times.
Yeah.
Are you married or anything now? What's your girlfriend?
No, just out here. I got kind of a girlfriend, but single.
You got Tinder?
I got a
Raya? Oh, God.
The fancy shit.
If things don't work out with me and my girlfriend, I'm getting a Raya. That's all I know.
It's interesting, man.
Is it?
It's a lot of hot girls.
Yeah.
The app thing seems so weird to me still. Have you ever used the app?
No, I've looked at people using it and like seen it playing music and been kind of impressed.
It's cool. It's super cool, but it's just weird. I just have trouble jumping from the app to real life.
Right.
You know, I haven't done that yet, but I've only had it for like 6 months.
Yeah. How do you meet girls, or like what's like your social life like in this point in your life?
Oh man, my social life is like pretty contained. Like I like the people that I work with. I go to the office every day. I like those people genuinely, so I spend a lot of time with them. And then, you know, I have friends outside of work, but I'll occasionally go to dinner or go out or whatever, go hang out. But literally for the most part, when I finally get home at like 7 or 8, like I'm home. Yeah. Usually.
Yeah.
And then meeting girls is usually a friend of a friend, or like, don't get me wrong, I will slide right up in a DM. Yeah. And then they see those followers and they're like, oh my God, he's important. Yeah. I remember that show when I was like 12.
That works.
Yeah.
Is that how the conversation starts a lot? It's like always is like, oh, like they want to tell you like some obscure fact or something. Like,
no,
I remember
because the smart ones don't say that, right? The smart ones act like they don't know who you are.
Right.
And so they're like, what? You have like a...
On Raya.
Yeah, on Raya, they're not admitting they know who you are. Because they just left a date with like G-Eazy. You know what I'm saying?
know, right?
Like, no, this guy is a good follower.
That's what I can't do, is I can't like be out here like chasing a girl that's used to getting wine and dime by G-Eazy. It's like, nah.
It's
like,
true, man.
I've just been on the straight up like girlfriend / like, you know, me and her will hang out with some like porn stars or, you know.
I see that, man. I see your life. You
I
found
know,
a good niche.
Right, but that doesn't seem like that's not dating. Like dating is fucking hell.
Dating is terrible.
Having to lie and act like you like them just because you want to touch their vagina. Like, oh God, it's the worst.
Especially in this weird world that we live in, right? Like,
oh yeah,
you know, LA, and then also you add like what we do, and you add that now people know who you are, right? Regardless, and even if you meet a girl that doesn't, the fact that she then looks it up and you are someone. Then that adds a different layer, right?
Yeah. Like my girlfriend now met me when I had 40,000 followers, and now I got like 500 something.
She killed
so
it. Good investment for her.
Good investment on her. She had 40K when I met her too, and now she got $1 million. So even better on my end.
You guys are a power couple.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think about that. It's like I could trust her in a way, and she was actually a fan of the podcast when I met her. That's kind of how we met, which is sort of weird to even think of. But at least she was early on. But yeah. Like, how the fuck do you trust somebody after that? I mean, and not even the trust thing so much as just like, I don't know. I'm watching.
Feels icky.
Yeah, DJ Academics is out here. He's got girls filming him sleeping and then trying to extort him.
DJ Academics?
I know. I was listening to him talk about it on his Twitch that was uploaded to YouTube today. Girl films him sleeping, and then she's threatening him. She sends him a picture of her with bruises on her, just trying to like imply like, oh, I will tell the world that.
Whoa.
I'm like, what the fuck? That even. Yo,
Academics? Like, yes,
the DM game. Like, you get exposed. I've seen girls exposing rappers for just DMing them saying hi.
That's scary, man.
Yeah.
That's scary. I don't like it. That's scary. That's why I'm pretty, like, I stay in my little circle.
Yeah. 2018, don't talk to girls. I think if anything, the whole Weinstein shit and everything, that's what that's taught us. Just leave them alone.
Now, every time I talk to a girl, I'm like, okay, is this fair?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Do you consent to this sexual in nature conversation?
Yes. You look nice. Did I just assault you?
I remember when I met you, you were telling me about what it was. You're like, yeah, our HR guy. And I'm like, whoa, HR guy. Like, why'd you have to do that? And you told me that, like, you need an HR guy once you get, 40 employees or something.
It's true. It's so true. And it's like a real liability. And it's a real thing you have to think about. And like, for me, I don't know, maybe one day I'll graduate to thinking of myself as that type of person, like that adheres to corporate rules. But I still don't. I still think of myself as like, man, who cares? Like if I say like tits and ass and whatever, like who really cares? But you need to know the rules because somebody can literally sue you for saying dicks around them.
I'm so glad that I have like vlogs of me and my female employee, like her like outwardly joking about sex around me. I feel like I'm one day, if she were to decide to turn into a turncoat, that I might have to be like, no, judge, look, this is her talking about how some guy had a small penis in this one vlog.
Yep. You're off free. You do that every time.
I don't know if that would even work though. Like she joked around about it one time, so that,
I think it would definitely kill their credibility. I think every new employee you should have talk about dicks and tits on camera.
Right. I mean, my female employee, which I'm cursed with only having one at this time, though, it's like I feel like the joke is that I'm not allowed, that I don't talk to her like that at all, to the point where it almost like the joke is that then we make a lot of jokes about us not having anything going on sexually, which in the end seems like that could be problematic.
It's sort of the reverse. Yeah. I think maybe just put it in an email. That's what else I've learned. Little tip is if you have it in email record, that goes a long way in the legal system.
But not text as much?
Yeah, I guess text could work too. This email seems so formal.
Right.
If you say like, I would like to admit that Adam has never sexually assaulted me.
Just asked her to preemptively say this.
I would hereby like to acknowledge. Yeah, I don't know.
I like that.
It's scary, but it's like the way that this stuff really works. Like anytime you get over, I feel like, I don't know what the number is, 7 employees, like you now need to start thinking about that. Because the same way someone can, the corporate version of filming you sleeping after you boned some IG thought is saying that they were sexually assaulted at work and suing the company. Like that's a real threat.
So let's talk about the early days of Young and Reckless though. Was it you ordering 200 shirts, or did you have like a good business structure from the beginning? Did you know that it was going to be something serious?
Here's how I did it, and we did it seamlessly. So I knew obviously, okay, I'm on this TV show that has millions of viewers. So I want to launch this thing like massive, quick now, like big. And so what I did was I came up with the concept, the logo, the name, everything. I went around and met with potential business partners, and I obviously told everyone, like, look, this thing's going to be the biggest thing in the world, blah, blah, blah. I just need infrastructure. Like, I need office, manufacturing, salespeople, like, tomorrow, because we're about to start shooting the show. So I found my business partners. We teamed up. We essentially made a box of samples. We were about to start filming the new season. I had my little baby office. We covered it in Young and Reckless, everything, everywhere you could possibly put Young and Reckless. We printed out all these samples. I wore it nonstop on this whole season of this show.
Did you ever get any pushback on that from corporate? Because I feel like there's
MTV?
things with like not showing logos from brands and stuff like that, or was it considered all right?
For MTV?
Yeah.
Where I got really lucky is Rob had so many sponsors that back in Rob and Big, they had to carve out that they could not take any money, anything from sponsors.
You are lucky right there, because I feel like if you're fucking Chandler on Friends, you can't just throw on a branded shirt, right?
Not only that, but if I'm like, hell no. And not only that, but if I am the next reality star or big star, they're going to say, okay, fine, you can launch it here, but we want 50% of it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Instantly.
Yeah.
So I dodged a bullet on that one, thanks to like DC and all those guys. So
Rob was a logo down back then.
I mean, he was like a NASCAR driver, man.
I know,
crazy.
man. It's so funny.
He knows how to sell, man.
Hey.
So then what I did, I have these samples. I wear it on the entire season of the show. We do an episode about me, I think, jumping out of a building to prove that I'm reckless, right? So I jump out of like a 6-story building. And so as the moment that episode is done being edited, which is like 3 months before it airs, I go down with my business partner. We go down to PacSun, because at the time PacSun was like the big sort of mall skate retailer. And that's where they were selling all the Rob stuff and all the Ken Block and whatever. So we drive down there, we take them the DVD, we say, look at this. This is about to be the next biggest clothing line in the world. You see what it did for DC. You see blah, blah, blah. We'll give it to you exclusively for 6 months if you buy it for all doors and you have it on the floor the day after this episode airs. And I'll send all my social media and everyone to PacSun. So they're like, sure, we'll do it. So we literally, our first order was a PacSun order. There was no debt. There was nothing. It was just instantly flipped that way. And obviously we had our ups and downs. Like after that show went off the air, nobody cared and we couldn't sell it at PacSun to save our lives and we had to kind of rebuild it. But the initial kickoff, we were never in debt or never anything.
That's really interesting, because most brands have to at some point make that decision. Like, are we going to do the PacSun thing? Are we going to go to the mall? Yeah. That's really interesting. You guys started that way.
Yes. You want to know why? Is because I would like to think I'm just kind of realistic in the sense of I knew I was on an MTV show. So I knew I'm in every household. I knew whatever. And I knew, let's be honest, if I would have went and tried to start the coolest niche clothing streetwear brand, nobody would have taken it serious anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, if you're going to be wearing it every day on TV, it's like, it's not going to be the super hip, cool thing. It's better to go.
I knew who I was.
Yeah, that's really good.
I knew who I was and what I was doing. And it's like, okay, let's make something for that. And so that's what it was. So, I went straight for it, and my goal was always to have a streetwear feel, meaning like the type of projects we did and the people we worked with and styling, but no pride. Like, just we'll sell to everyone. You know what I mean? And I thought that's where like the whole really was, and that's what ended up working for us for a long time. And then a lot of the streetwear guys of that generation, Diamond, Crooks, all those guys started selling to PacSun and Zoomies and all that too, which made that a little bit more difficult. But yeah, it worked perfectly for where it was being publicized and where we were selling it.
What other, did you promote it in any other ways besides the show to start, or when did you decide to try to go in that direction?
So the first thing was the show, and then like I said, we shipped all this stuff to PacSun, and then then I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be rich. And then the show goes off the air and it just tanks. Like, cannot sell a shirt to save our lives. So then I was like, I need to make this a real brand. Like, this can't be Drama's thing, And so the first big campaign we went and did was with Meek Mill, and it was right before he put out his first album. And we just did a really dope photo shoot of him riding dirt bikes and did a video piece on him and all this stuff. And I think even that really resonated with people and showed like, oh, this is a real line, right? And then we just went into like crazy overdrive on marketing. So every athlete, every rapper, everyone was always coming to the office and taking pictures wearing the stuff. And because I knew of all the power that MTV had, I had to almost double that with legit shit, or else I was always going to be Drama's merch. So I just went like everyone just went as hard as they could on doing that. But that's how it really started. Then obviously we did collabs and we did a bunch of shit, but the first thing was like, just get everyone wearing it. Just make it like, not only is it Drama's thing from whatever, but everyone it was right when Instagram was starting and whatever. We just wanted to look like everyone who's anyone is wearing Young and Reckless,
Yeah, like it's one thing, a lot of brands want to go super influencer, try to get like the 4 coolest people they can think of to wear it and tease it and everything, but it's kind of cool to hear from the perspective of just blowing it up as big as you can, because in a lot of ways, the biggest problem with any brand is just making people know about it and making people even have that name in their head as like, oh, that's a clothing line. Yeah.
100%. And I think like even early on, like I battled a lot with like sort of integrity and, you know, because you're creating a brand, you want it to be cool. Like maybe some athlete comes and you're like, I don't know this guy. I don't like this guy. I think where a lot of people screw themselves is you got to be clear on like, are you trying to create a brand that people really, really resonate with and you do not care at all how many people actually wear it or buy it? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to create a business that makes a lot of money? Or where in the middle do you fall?
Right.
And I think the moment anytime you start a business, you got to be clear about that first with yourself and then act on that, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's also I've seen a lot of people who have the coolest brands in the world that are really bitter that they're not rich. And it's like, bro, you can't be rich. You did this on purpose.
Yeah.
So you got to know where you fall into that. And that's where I always tried to balance and tried to keep it real on that with myself. But my goal was I've always wanted to be a business guy, like an entrepreneur, more than a brand owner, if that makes any sense. You know, like I wanted my stuff. I wanted to walk through the mall and see Young and Reckless stuff everywhere. And I wanted, you know, and obviously my goal is to make it mean as much as it possibly can. And that's even why I do my podcast and all that stuff, is because it's still empowering that same group of youth that I always have wanted to. Mm-hmm. But I want it to be massive, you know?
That's cool. I like that you knew that early on, you know, because I feel like coming from like a BMX background or skate or whatever, it's like people are really honest about that, or they figure out that they want that too late. You know,
always. And I think I saw that too. Like obviously I come from skateboarding and skateboarders hate everything.
Oh yeah.
And every brand that tries to get into skateboarding.
A lot of people don't understand that that's such an integral part of like action sport culture.
100%.
It's just being very negative. I feel like that's kind of changing now in the social media age.
Agreed.
Because now, you know, to be a hip, cool pro skater in the 90s or early 2000s or whatever was to be the really cool dude that was too cool to talk to anybody sitting there smoking a cigarette, blah, blah, blah. And now to be the big pro skater, they're very friendly towards getting brand deals. They're very friendly towards the sponsor stuff. They're smiling. They're posting on Instagram every day. It's like you have to be a different type of person nowadays because people are so familiar with the real you.
Yeah. Now that when I look at like Instagram videos or whatever, because that's where everyone's putting their skate videos, and I see like a really cool skater wearing a Monster Energy logo, I'm like, what the fuck? Like that never would have flown in my day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that would have been the ultimate sellout, you're dead to all of us move. So I do think it's like lightening up. But man, it is such a core piece of that lifestyle is just hating everything. And I think I came from that. I came from that.
Yeah.
That's also why I never made a skate team or anything, right? Because I knew I would hate me if I made a skate team when I was a kid. And so
that's like impressive that you never went in that direction, because I feel like
what it was.
And I've just seen so many brands like fail at doing the sort of like disauthentic skate team or BMX team over the years.
It's when you're not clear on who you are and what you're doing, right? And you can't be everything to everyone. Like I didn't want to be the coolest guy that would have loved me in the core skateboarding days and the richest guy and the guy that could walk through a mall and see his brand everywhere. Like you got to pick one. And so I think that's why I had that clarity. But then I've also seen, like, as I got older, like you just said, I've seen a lot of these core guys that are really cool sort of miss out on the payday and become really bitter about it.
Oh, yeah. And you like, see them on Instagram complaining. They got like a 3-paragraph caption and shit.
I hate that. It's like, bro, you were the one. You were always the gatekeeper for the cool.
Right.
You know, like, I don't know. You just got to know what's important to you, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, like I remember I said to you one time, I mentioned like a certain influencer who, like, I mean, shit, it was probably like 8-9 years ago or whatever, that was wearing your stuff a lot. And I just mentioned him, and you were like, man, it's always the lamest people that when you give them a box of shit that they just rep it so hard.
Yeah. I forget who you're talking about now, because I thought you were talking about the Pauls.
No,
you said
that's a different thing. No,
you said lame influencer, and I was like, oh, which one?
Oh, we could talk about them now. It was just some other random person that I brought up, and you were like, man, you know, it's always the fucking weirdos. Funny. You give them a box, and they never stop wearing it.
That is a 100% fact. Every time, too. And that's why I see why like people are so careful, because like that shit ends up in the wrong hands, and you pay for it. But it is, man. It's always the wackest people that just can't take it off.
Yeah. What kind of, like, where would you describe where the brand is at these days? Like how you've built it up post, you know, you had this crisis when the show ended and stuff, but like, I feel like you've certainly like grown it into a very independent entity that's not like so attached to that one thing since then.
No. And I think I noticed that like after like the 5th season, right? Like it started to kind of go up and down as the show was on and off. But I think like the 5th season, which was probably like 4 years ago or 3 years ago, it really like it kept growing on its own completely. And I almost started to feel like I was a bad look for the brand, right? Because I was like, if I was going to go have like a brand ambassador, it wouldn't be drama from Fantasy Factory, you know? So anyway, it started growing on its own. The big things that changed were like, and this is only in the last like, this was like two years ago or a year and a half ago, is number one, I always wanted to be like streetwear for the malls. All of the streetwear brands went to the malls. So that's no longer a model, right? So now it's like, how do you be the coolest guy in this weird mall streetwear thing? Then the malls in general are dying rapidly, right?
True, yeah.
Like rapidly dying. So now you spend 6 years building a business with these retailers and traveling to show them your new product and doing that whole song and dance, right? And then they just shit the bed and start dying. And there's nothing you can do. Like I can't do anything to save them. So in the last year and a half, we've dramatically shifted our entire strategy and put all of our energy towards e-com, right? And towards our site and our store. And essentially like what I used to look at as it was streetwear for the malls. Now it's an entire collection. Our biggest category right now is jeans and sweatsuits, right? T-shirts are not even close now. And what I want to do is this. I want to be a full collection clothing line. I'm never going to be able to hit H&M's prices, which luckily they probably won't be around much longer anyway because now they're racist. But
for real,
I'll take that spot.
Well played.
But I can't hit those prices. But like I can ask 15% more and have a brand attached and have offer you stuff and curate and give you a podcast and give you content and give you this stuff, and that's why you support us. I think that's the new mission, right? And it's working well. Luckily, we pivoted just quick enough to the e-com thing where like, last year we still had our biggest year we've ever had. But it was scary for a little bit.
When you say e-com, where are you driving traffic from? From just social media, or you do like online advertising, or?
On both. So we do a lot of online advertising, a lot of Facebook ads, some Google and stuff like that, but not as many. A lot of Facebook. Really? And then social media.
How many likes the Young and Reckless page you got on Facebook?
1.3, and I have 2.6.
Interesting.
So I do a lot on there, but yeah, we got that down pretty good.
See, I've never really bothered to bite the bullet and go all in on like Facebook promotion, which I clearly should be doing.
Yeah, let us help you, man. That's what we're here for.
Interesting.
We should partner up on that.
Well, we were talking about hiring this like agency that takes your content and puts it on Facebook and helps do all that stuff and everything. I'm not even talking about the advertising. The advertising, that's a whole nother thing. We got like 2,000 likes on our Facebook page and we haven't updated in 6 months.
Yeah. It's hard, man.
Yeah.
I don't do shit on mine. It just links to my Instagram. So I only look at Instagram. So when I post on Instagram, it goes to Facebook. But yeah, it's just its own beast. Here's what happens though. You get rid of your massive sales team that used to fly around the country with suitcases and show collections at retailers, and you hire a growth team and you hire content people, and it just changes what the infrastructure of your business is, right? Because the priorities are just totally different.
Yeah. That mall change that you're talking about is pretty crazy. Like how all these businesses are sort of going out and the fact that you were doing, the agendas and all the trade shows and just doing all this shit for so long. It's wild.
It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be so bad. It's already been bad, but it's going to be so bad with like the bankruptcies and the stuff like that. But I mean, PacSun, our biggest retailer, filed for bankruptcy last year. And it was just restructuring, and they're fine now, but they had to close some doors and whatever. And obviously that affects your business, And it's like when we are in Macy's and Dillard's and Tilly's and all these different places. And like I said, it's building a relationship just like anything else. Like you're building a business relationship. And after you build that for that long and then they just start to die, it's like, man, all that work was for nothing.
But do you think a lot of them dying is like self-inflicted, or do you think that's just kind of inevitable that a lot of this stuff is just going online?
Well, I think that they're like super slow and like don't admit that this is happening, and like a lot of the retailers are just really stupid when it comes to that, and nobody wants to admit that like podcasts are bigger than radio shows and retailers are smaller than online stores. But I don't think it's the customers. Like people just aren't shopping like that. It's just not a thing. Like let's all go to the mall. That's not a thing anymore. You know what I mean? It's like you just buy the shit on Amazon or whatever.
Hey, please listen and rebook if you like it.
You know what that is?
What's that mean?
That means somebody just bought a repost, and it also means that I forgot to turn down the volume. All right, I guess I gotta do that now.
How do you buy a repost?
Oh, it's because like we have basically. See, now it's gone. We have like, you know, I do streaming here.
Yeah.
And like kids can like pay to have us play their song, or but even when we're not on, they can pay for us to repost their song on SoundCloud. It's like $120. Hit up streamlabs.com/nojumper.
So cool, man. God damn it. You got this shit down to a science.
It's all right. I can't complain. I mean, really, the streaming thing came from the fact that, you know, for a while I was making like 40, 50 racks from fucking YouTube per month just from making videos.
From ad revenue?
Yeah, and then boom, that got zapped down by like 90% when they fucking did the ad revenue thing like a year ago. And that was like a big thing that kind of saved my ass. Is like all of a sudden like, oh, I can just go and like listen to my fans' music and like make up a large part of the money that we lost. So that was, I mean, it's weird because like now sometimes I see people like, oh, you're a greedy fuck, blah, 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 you do this. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, this is number one. It's taxing mentally to sit there and listen to fucking 200 songs from your fans on a row. Yeah. Do I feel like I'm properly compensated for that time? Sure, but it's like, you know, and really, it's kind of like, it's like, okay, you know, at one point I tried to do a Patreon.
What's that?
It's like people can, you know, set so that they can, like, I subscribe to this guy Sam Harris's Patreon, so like every time he posts, I donate $5. Like every time he puts up a podcast, there's like a donation that goes into his account or something. Or you could just set it up so it's $10 a month or whatever. Yeah. And I tried to do it when YouTube first took the money away because I'm like, you know, like I'm basically making this content for free now at this point. Like maybe people would be down to support and stuff. People were so offended because they're like, how the fuck are you wearing Gucci shoes and you're asking us for $10 a month or whatever? Yeah. And, you know, the response I got from it was so bad that I was just like, all right, you're right. I'm not doing this. You're right. Like, it's part of my fucking character that I act like I don't give a fuck about anything. Yeah. And I'm not going to start acting like I really like need money from you guys because, okay, I don't. But, you know, to me, it just seemed right. But now with the streaming thing, it's much more like a lot of those same people like who were like, nah, fuck that. I'm not fucking, you know, going to pay you $10 a month or whatever. They enjoy the process of like, oh, okay, they can have me listen to their song and say something about it, and you know, a couple thousand people in the chat get to see it and stuff like that. So even though it really is a very similar thing, it's just worked out way better for me because it's basically just like a way to interact with them more directly. Yeah,
you got that on lock. When you were telling me about that at the office, I was so jealous of it. But here's the cool thing: at least you get their song. They're paying to get their song heard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
You know, and all the other people in the chat. I mean, sometimes I feel guilty in a way because I'm like, man, I don't even know if this shit is necessarily like helping them or whatever. But then I get kids all the time who are like, yo, thank you so much. That blew my shit up. Yeah. And to them, blew their shit up might be they got 5 DMs that were like, yo, I like that song.
Huge.
But imagine getting 5 DMs when you've never gotten a DM.
You've never gotten one DM.
You know, it's like,
blew it up.
It's easy to forget how fucking different like our lives are sometimes from the target consumer, you know. And I always, you know, especially like, you know, when we put out a hoodie and it's like, you know, 75 versus 65, and like you just notice that there's like a lot more complaints or whatever, and you're like, life. Oh, okay, yeah. The $10 does matter to a lot of people, and I forget that.
That's my whole life. And that's like here's the thing. I've always genuinely wanted to like make clothing and do stuff for as many people as possible. So I've always tried to keep everything like cheap and whatever, but like we do denim jeans for like 2 for $70, and like, you know, we're doing $29.99 jeans essentially, and we get ripped apart. You know, like $29.99, really?
Really? They think that's a lot.
Yeah, because you can go to like wherever the hell these kids are going. You go to like Topshop and they're like $14.99.
It's so shit though that they just have completely muddied the waters in terms of like what people expect to pay for anything. Because sometimes. You know, I'm gonna be real. Maybe I'll sound a little bougie here. I think I spend about $200 on jeans typically. Yes. You know, going to Nordstrom's or fucking Bloomingdale's or some shit that's like not out of the ordinary. Yeah. But my friends will be like, "That's insane," and I'll be like, honestly, the fact that you think it's normal to spend $20 on jeans is kind of more insane.
True. That is true.
You know? And I'm not defending the $200 jeans either, but I'm just saying that, like, you know, the H&M price point is like they're getting you addicted to something that is part of a business model that they can barely sustain. And the only way they sustain it is by making shit in insane numbers overseas. And, you know.
And they're racist.
And they're racist now. That fucking poor black kid, man.
No, they fucked that
How did you really feel when you saw that?
How did I actually feel?
Yeah. I was like, man, there's one dumbass art director that didn't catch this. I was like, can you really indict the whole company because somebody...
But where was the mom? I want to know where the mom or dad... Like, does that kid just go to a photo shoot by himself? And he's just in there and nobody says like, wait, I don't know about the...
Tell me if I'm tripping, but I looked at that photo and did not think that that kid ever actually wore that hoodie. I was thinking that looks like they photoshopped that design onto that hoodie. I don't know if I'm tripping.
You think, Neil? Neil's the graphic design expert. I don't know. You might be right.
It's super possible to Photoshop that seamlessly.
Yeah, you might be right.
I mean, the photo of the kid in general looked like it had been just like reworked on Photoshop over, you know.
So here's the thing. Here's the part that this is what I really thought was like, how you're telling me that there's not, like you said, there's not multiple lines of defense at H&M.
Oh yeah, exactly. Right.
And if so, what is the train of thought that says, nah, this is okay?
Yeah. I want to know, was it in a catalog? Was it on a website like, did it really come out? Was it through one of their retailers? Sometimes I feel like there's just so many different things going on in a business that big that it's just really hard for them to keep track. I don't know. It's not like I want to be sitting here having sympathy for fucking H&M. It just seems like, it seems like it kind of can't be as bad as it looked immediately, but how it looked immediately was just so bad that it's like, man, fuck them.
Yeah, but that's what I want to know. Like, how does that happen? Because I can't even see a racist being like, I'm going to show them. Let me make this kid's hoodie, and like I'm gonna conquer the right. Like the alt-right is gonna conquer. You know, like really, you thought you were making progress?
Do people think that there's like a whole core of like racist employees at H&M that they all sort of got together and thought?
Yeah, they do. Now H&M might as well be the KKK.
For real, but don't you remember when New Balance was like the alt-right shoe company for like 2 weeks?
Yep. But they just got like adopted by the alt-righters, right?
Right. That's
not
unfortunate.
like they didn't actually put out an item.
Man, Taylor Swift, though, they tried to claim her, and she went to war. She sued fucking everybody who wrote about it and everything.
Did that happen? What happened? They cause I heard something about that, but I didn't know what happened.
It's just people on the alt-right sort of looking at her, and she's very, like, apolitical. Like, she doesn't say, oh, Trump or Obama, whatever, which from her perspective, it's like she has so many middle America-ass fans that you can kind of understand that she can't. Well, I mean, she could, but she's going to, remember what happened to, who was it? Those sisters, those country
Dixie Chicks.
Dixie Chicks,
got
yes.
murdered.
Oh, yeah, they got destroyed. Their whole career ruined because they went after Bush, right?
Yep. They had a documentary about it. Shut Up and Sing. I watched it. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, man. How do you feel about that? I'm sure you have a lot of middle America fans. Are you sort of...
On the Trump thing?
Yeah, do you try to keep your opinion of them to yourself because you know they love it?
No, I don't
Not
go,
all of them, but some of them.
I don't go like hard because it's hard for me to like think of anything to say that isn't just contributing to the noise. Right. But I don't hide from it at all. Like I talk about it on my podcast and stuff. Like I'll say like, somebody will say, oh, yeah, ever since things got so crazy in America. And I'll say, yeah, you like Trump and like all this crazy shit, right? Like I don't shy away from it.
But I think that's more nuanced on the podcast versus like a tweet is the kind of thing that is like a little bit more in your face. And to be honest,
I'll retweet like a Donald Trump tweet and say like, shut up or whatever. I posted like an Instagram that was like during the take a knee thing. And I wrote like, I just legitimately don't understand like this racism issue. And like, like I'm relatively outspoken, but I only do it if I think I'm adding some value.
Yeah, that when I see somebody roast Trump and actually do a good job of it on Twitter, I'm always kind of astounded because it seems so difficult now.
So hard.
It's like, what new is there to say besides you're kind of a vile human being? I'm really embarrassed of what you're doing to our government, which previously I didn't really care that much about
At all.
It's just sort of like, I don't know. I don't feel like and even then, like I went hard in my videos saying like, do not vote for Donald Trump, vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And,
do you get backlash for that?
Yeah, because on YouTube especially, there's tons of right-wing people and stuff, which is fine. But I feel like you got to pick your battles. And for me, saying vote against Donald Trump was very important. And it's like a lot of the stuff that I could say in terms of talking about politics sort of seems kind of silly because I don't think my audience is necessarily old enough to really be... they're not super deep. If I say something about some political commentator, they don't probably know who it is and stuff. So I try to pick my battles and go with more like overarching topics about, being good to each other and such.
Yeah, you're right. You do good at that. You do really good at that, actually. I noticed that. But yeah, I just don't want to contribute to the noise. Because when you look at Twitter now, at least my Twitter, it's everyone complaining. Like it's just complaining. And nobody has like a good, like Trump is just lobbing us. When he said, like, I'm super stable and also a genius, it's like you're soft tossing us.
I'm like a genius.
Yeah.
I'm like really smart.
I'm like really smart. So it makes it too easy. I just don't want to.
I mean, that part in particular, it's like when he was typing that, he had to have known that he was typing it in such a way that made him look dumb. And I'm like, oh, so you're in on this now. You're like trying to.
You would think so,
You
man,
think you're funny.
It's scary. I think like this is something in world history that will be like, holy shit, this motherfucker was the president.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about that in like 5-10 years when it's not like a thing you're living with every day and it's just like some weird memory.
And all that I hope for, I know they just came out with the one, but all that I hope for is that like 5 years from now, there's a legitimate like documentary or book or whatever that really tells what was really going on. Because I just bet the shit that's going on there is so insane, and I just want someone to tell it.
Yeah.
You know?
I spent so much time reading about like politics and shit at this point, but I just also like don't really feel like I necessarily have. I'm not an expert, so it's kind of like, what do I necessarily have to offer? I don't want to like go that deep on it.
Yeah, it's not a fun road.
What hole in your life are you filling with the podcast? What was it that made you want to do it?
That's a great question. I think that first and foremost, it is actually what I love, right? So meaning, when I say like I moved to LA with the goal of living in a studio apartment, the only reason why that changed and expanded was from meeting people, hearing their stories and like seeing what they were doing and being like, damn, I could do that, right? Like if I was 19 and I met you right now, I'd be like, fuck, I need to do what Adam's doing. Like this is dope. He's a cool guy that's making all this money, having a great time, whatever. So it was through meeting people and hearing these stories that opened my mind that I was even capable of doing it. And in turn, essentially is what I look at as like the key to happiness for me. Is making progress and building stuff and whatever. So I want to pass that on, right? Like I want to meet with people, have those conversations, and try to connect with other people to hear those stories and say, man, I can do it too because I heard Adam on his podcast and I heard the truth about how he really got there. So that's kind of like the deeper level. The other thing is I enjoy doing it. I love having those conversations, and because I'm so antisocial, I don't go just have lunch with the people that I should just be going and talking to.
Right.
And so that's an excuse. Like I've noticed just by forcing myself to sit down once a week and talk to a really smart, inspiring person, I just feel more juiced up, right? And lastly, I wanted to put out content. Obviously, I put out hours and hours of content to millions and millions of people via MTV with one sort of persona. And I really wanted to start putting out content more around who I actually was.
Yeah.
And so the podcast was just the first thing to me that's easy. It's in my control. I can do whatever I want. And it's entrepreneurial based. And this is like the start of sort of drama, like who I actually am.
Yeah, see, there's like so many ways that I could explain why I started a podcast too, and
Yeah.
it's weird because like a lot of the things you just said are basically like versions of what I would say as well. Like I remember around the time that I started doing it, it was like around the time that I forget what it even was, but I was having some bullshit online where I was getting roasted, people were talking shit about me, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, remember thinking to myself, like the only reason why they're able to say these things about me in, you know, good faith is because they don't really know me, but they think that they do because I'm relatively well known in my field or whatever. I was like, if I am out there putting myself out there every week on camera, it's just gonna be a lot harder for people to make up like fake narratives about me, which I kind of felt like when I was doing the BMX website that I was sort of suffering from that.
Yeah.
Because I was like the guy behind the website and I wasn't necessarily putting myself out there as like a public figure as much.
Yeah.
And that was just such a big part of it, is like I want people to actually know the real me and not just be able to sort of come up with these sort of little anecdotes.
Yeah, that's smart. I guess it's similar. I guess it's 100% similar. Because
Yeah,
I
what
always
you're
thought, everyone
saying-
thought like, oh, you're just like the idiot guy from reality TV. And like, if I put this out, at least I can kind of control. But I like the way you thought of it as like, just put out a bunch of content, be myself, and then it's hard to like really, you know, I don't know. It's,
Yeah. And what you said too about like, I just wanted to have these conversations, you know, it's like, I feel bad because I get these DMs all the time from people who mean well, but they're like, I just want to sit down and have lunch with you. I just want to have a conversation. And it's like, the conversation, that hour or whatever, like that is the hard part for me, is like, I can't make the time of my life to do this with as many people as I want to. And you know, I sort of had that realization early on, is like, I'm essentially a nobody and I want to meet all these fucking people who are making a bunch of money or doing a bunch of cool shit or just whatever. And like, you know, basically I was like, damn, you know, I have like a seed of like a few people that I know I could talk to and I'm pretty sure I could do a good job with. And if I do a good job on those, then I could probably branch out and talk to other people that are interesting. And I just really liked it as like a foot in the door type thing.
It's
you
so
know?
true. And I, after all these years of doing clothing and doing all the marketing stuff that we did, like I had all of these contacts and I felt the same way. I was like, man, I have enough people. I can think of 10 that are like pretty impressive around me that could tell stories about starting their business and blah, blah, blah. And that's probably enough to like get this thing going, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you see, like, as these things like grow and snowball and you can go back and say you had Kyrie Irving and you had blah, 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 then it just helps you with the next person. And then, you know, then...
Have you had the experience of interviewing anybody and then having them kind of blow up afterwards and then sort of No.
You're the master of that. You're the
Yeah.
fucking master.
That was kind of that was the big unexpected effect I had, because I did not know that was going to happen when I started interviewing like underground rappers, like, and then a couple of them blew up, and it was like, oh fuck, like this is a thing. Okay.
And then when that happened, so like, is the way that it worked, like the episodes were kind of whatever, and then as they blew up, the episode blows up? Is that how it works?
Yeah, like if you looked at like the analytics for XXX Tentacion, it's totally like little spike, gets like 15,000 views at first or whatever, and then it's just humming along, getting like, maybe 500 views a day or 1,000 views a day or something like that, and then all of a sudden it's fucking like 80,000 views in a day and shit, which is so weird because there wasn't really anything that happened along the way because he's in jail at this point. So it's like he can't really do anything. He's not putting out new music. It was just like 100% the fans just growing so rapidly. And then I was kind of in a really lucky place at that point too, because he's locked up. The only thing that people had to go on was this one interview, and so people were just going crazy on just that one in particular, like stands out a lot. But that was a weird one, because that was when everybody in the music industry all of a sudden started talking to me, because up till that point my podcast was probably a bit more like what yours is like right now, where it's just literally anybody interested that you want to have a conversation with. And then that was like with the X thing and the Pump thing and a bunch of other ones. That's sort of when I started to realize like, oh, like whether I like it or not, my podcast is turning into something that I didn't plan for it to be, and I guess I have to fucking double down on it.
Is that how you look at it? Like you're going to, because I'm a fan of that way of thinking, but like I'm going to listen to what the world is telling me and double down on that.
Yeah, I resisted it for a while because I had everybody asking me to interview all these different underground rappers, and like I just was resisting the idea that I'm like a rap podcaster now, because I kind of knew that there would be a lot of bullshit that came along with like putting myself in that purely like hip hop category. It's like at the end of the day, being a 34-year-old white guy who's like flaunting his rap knowledge, just like there's going to be a lot of people who are turned off by that, regardless of how good a job you do or how holy your intentions seem. I held back for a while, but then at a certain point, it's like you got enough fucking rappers hitting you up there. I was just like, well, all right, I guess this is it.
Yeah, it just became that, man. I think, especially that wasn't your intention, and like these artists that you've found early and interviewed, and like there's sort of these iconic interviews, because I even see them even before I knew you. I would just see them, whether I was sorting through YouTube or on blogs or whatever, and like the No Jumper brand already had this like impression on me of like the next guy gatekeeper. Like you just had it, you just have it on lock. And I think that's something that whatever it is, it's like your magic touch. You know what I mean? You can't ignore it.
I mean, yeah, at a certain point, but it's what's funny about it is that I've just always been that way. Like I've always, even when I was like 19, I was like the dude who really liked 50 Cent and Jay-Z, but also knew about like the ninth most popular guy rapping under Jay-Z and 50 Cent, and like I was just always into that. And then all of a sudden I end up in LA, and there's this crazy rap scene in the downtown LA scene, and I'm going to all these warehouse shows, and I'm friends with like a handful of rappers. But then it was kind of easy to like climb up into that world, and then all of a sudden some of those rappers started blowing up. So it's like some people like don't get that history or whatever, but it was like, it came from a very sincere place.
That's the only way that it can. I don't know. In my mind, after being in this sort of industry for quite a while, the only way that you can have that many interviews with people who blew up before they blew up is if you're really embedded in that scene, right? Like you can't guess that. If you could, every label would have, one label would have signed all these guys.
I mean, that's what a lot of people like out there, like kids are like, oh, I would never be able to get an interview with X. It's like, well, X had 15,000 followers when I interviewed him. You probably could have got an interview with him at that point. And if I didn't, it took me a long time. I still haven't even like interviewed like a top rapper. Like the closest thing is like somebody like Yachty, who, again, I interviewed him when he had like 10,000 followers and then proceeded to become extremely big. But I have had like Master P or fucking Wyclef, but those are more like legacy interviews. I've never had the Future or the Young Thug.
Why not? You don't want to?
I mean, no, I definitely would. I just haven't really. I mean, that's
I'm sure you could. Those guys, yeah.
I'm working on some bigger ones or whatever. But at the end of the day, like the 3 interviews I did before you got here, my employee Cam girl, who I was talking about earlier, who I just think is a good role model for girls out there. I think it's impressive that she's making a name for herself in the DJ world or whatever. Then that kid Caleb you met, Lil Nar, his clothing line Narcotic. Like, it's still a small clothing line, but I just think it's cool. And I think he's like a really cool kid that I believe in a lot. And then we just did this dude, Lil Skies, who I think when I interviewed him for the first time or when I met him, he might have had like 30,000 followers, and now all of a sudden, boom, he got 600,000, and his tape just came out. It's blowing up. So it's kind of like I get such a thrill from doing those early interviews that I very infrequently am like, oh shit, like I need to actually like fight for the Chief Keef interview because that will be such a big thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I agree, man. You just live it so well. I think it was cool. Whatever you put out, like at the end of the year or something, you put out like, I've watched all these kids blow up, and I'm really looking forward. You know, you watched
Zan, Pump.
Yeah.
Trippy Red.
Who was it that you said like in a year? Pump.
Yeah.
Like a year ago was literally no one, and now is the biggest superstar in the world, right? And it's just dope that I don't know, but that's just your magic, man. But I think once you too, like I would be curious to see what it does when you filter in, like if you did a Future interview. Like, does it just blow it way up? Does your audience like hate on that?
No, because my audience at the end of the day, Future's their fucking king. You know, someone like Future, Gucci, Chief Keef, even, I mean, you know, the underground is the underground, and sure, the underground might not like Drake, but at the end of the day, like, you know, we got 1 million subscribers. Like, such a gigantic portion of them are going to be excited as fuck if we do get a huge interview that it's not going to. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's like if I got a fucking Future interview tomorrow, I'm still going to be in here the next day doing interviews with smaller people or whatever. So.
How do you judge? You judge simply by who you're into?
Yeah, who I'm into, who I can tell the culture's fucking with and stuff. That's why I got to answer that question all day because kids want interviews. They're like, what's your criteria? I'm like, honestly, you know, it just is what it is. Like, if I think you're dope.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
And I hate that it's that kind of thing where it's totally, you know, unfair. But hey, here we are.
It's just how it works.
Yeah. So what was the highlight for you on your podcast so far? Personal highlight in terms of best interview you thought you did, or one that made the biggest impression on people?
I think that it was cool for me to interview Kyrie Irving. I've known him like sort of in passing for years, but I think it was just cool because here's what happened to me. How you said about how your interviews blew up in the XXX one, and the only time that I had anything similar to that was that I interviewed Kyrie, and then I posted it unknowingly. The next day, he announced that he was leaving Cleveland to go to Boston. And he posted it on his Twitter. He posted the podcast on his Twitter, and then went radio silent for that whole week.
Wow.
So when everyone went to his page, the last post is my interview, which had nothing to do with him leaving.
That's a gift right there. That's amazing.
Handed me that one. So that was cool. I think like the text and stuff I got from that, and like it's just cool to be like, damn, this, you know, these things impact people. I think. To be dead honest with you, man, I did one with this guy who's now my really good friend. His name's Kevion, but he's a real estate agent and also sort of a personal development life coach type guy. And I will just say, like, not only did he become my friend and I learned a lot of stuff from him, but so many people have reached out to me and said that one really helped them, or that they got clear on their goals because of that, or this one kid claims, I don't know if he's telling the truth. He claims through watching my comments, I've seen the progression over the last 5 months. He quit his job because he was so inspired. And today he just claimed that he now makes $5,000 a month on his YouTube and no job. And now he has a career started and has this business, whatever it is.
And you've been watching this take place in your comment section?
In my comments, because he gives me updates.
Wow.
So I'll read them and I'll be like, damn, cool. And he'll be like, still going good, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'll like them or whatever. And then today on my way to the office, he was like, just wanted to let you know, bro, it's me, the guy who quit his job. I'm making $5,000 a month now off my YouTube, whatever. And I was like, man, that's so sick. And just, I think, not to be like all like, sensitive about it, but like really seeing when you're kind of making an impact for people is when it really starts to be like, damn, this is cool. Like, how far could I take this? You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd say those two probably.
Yeah, I did a Suicide Boys podcast real early on too, when they were very, very small at that time, and they've gone on to just have like a crazy ass touring business and stuff. And they're probably one of the biggest like breakout stars from the underground rap scene that I'm kind of associated with, that have sort of like stayed underground but still have like a crazy, I say underground meaning like they didn't sign to a label or try to do any weird stuff. They're just fucking huge. But that interview in particular, we talked a ton about like, you know, them being on drugs and like getting off drugs, like serious opiates and shit. And then like, you know, even just talking about like being white in rap and stuff. And I feel like those are kind of the first times that we went deep about topics like that. Yeah. And they just like were really mysterious up till that point. And then they were like really transparent about all these things. And like, again, like they've done interviews since then, but not for a long ass time. And that was another one that I just had so many kids hit me up that it was like kind of clear to me that whatever they got from that podcast, they like needed. And like, I had somebody say to me recently, they're like, how do you feel about having all the worst, corniest white kids on earth obsessed with your podcast? And I was like, well, to be honest, they need role models too. Just because you think they're corny or whatever doesn't mean that their life's over. They might be 14 wearing fucking clout goggles and they might have the little twisted up, horrible dreads. But someday those dreads are going to be longer, and they probably need some kind of perspective that tells them on how to be a good hip hop consumer, which means a lot to me, because I remember like me being young and loving rap music, but then I remember how I felt when I first discovered people writing about rap music with like real respect, like really intelligent, and that just did a lot for me. And I realized like, oh, I could have been some fucking dumbass that didn't like fully accept and acknowledge how amazing this shit is, and I'm lucky because I found dudes who had a different perspective early on. So I just kind of want to be that to my fans in a way too. Like I want to help turn them into the person that I wish that somebody had helped me to understand how to be. And even when we talk about business and stuff, I mean, these conversations mean a lot to these kids.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. That's what I'm learning more as I go. And it's like I think we both have the attitude kind of like we don't take ourselves very serious, and it's not until you start putting that out there, not thinking and hearing the feedback, that you're like, damn, this is making an impact. You know what I mean? Like this is something. I think the same thing. I give all the credit to the skateboard world to sort of raising me to not be a goofball. You know what I mean? But who knows? Had I never picked up a skateboard, maybe I would have been a complete dork too. But that's what kept me from being too much of a kook. I had kooky phases, but I think the kooks are the ones that need the most guidance, right? They're the ones who are the most impressionable.
I think skateboarding or BMX or whatever is a very good way to grow up, because in a way it's like, oh, here's something that's outlandishly difficult and you're going to get hurt and you're going to be dirty as fuck. But at the end of the day, in the skateboard community, the dudes who are getting the respect are the dudes who actually put in those hours of fucking torturing themselves. Yeah. And those are the dudes who get, the rewards, the money, the respect, whatever it is. And it's like, it's hard. I'm glad that I'm a person in the rap industry who came from BMX, because in BMX, it's like, there's not a lot of cockiness. It's harder to pull that off. And in rap, that's kind of the norm. And I think if anything, if I do a good job of being able to relate to rappers and to the fans, it's kind of because I don't have that same like pompous up my own ass thing. Although I'm getting there.
So hey man, I mean, a couple more big interviews and we'll see some more Gucci shoes.
I mean, it's just like people act weirder and weirder to me every day, and I'm just slowly like, I don't know how.
That's the weird part. People start acting weird towards you. Oh, yeah. Right? That's what I noticed that drove me nuts, is like people would treat me like I was someone, which would make me awkward. It's like, so do I double down on that, and do I reinforce that I am someone, or do I whatever? Right? So that's when it gets weird, I think, is like as people start to treat you like too much, like, Adam, what can we do, man? You know what I mean? That's when it gets weird. But yeah, I would say, like, to me, being from Ohio and coming from skateboarding gave me like a super grounded like mentality. Yeah, kept me from being a kook.
For sure. So when you look at your life and things seem to be going pretty good right now. The business is humming along well for the clothing line. You got the podcasts progressing well. Do you see yourself, if you were just doing these things or whatever else you have going on, if you were still just doing those things in 5 or 10 years, do you think you would be cool with it? Or what is the progression that you could see in terms of other things that you might want to do?
Yeah, I'd be miserable if I was still doing the same thing in 5 years. I think that at least like it could be progressions of the same things, but I just think that I am so based. My entire like everything is based on making progress and moving forward and learning new shit, and you know what I mean. And I just think like if the podcast hasn't become either crazy successful or turned into some sort of TV show or some sort of other thing, and all of these things that I'm doing haven't evolved into something larger, I'll be losing my mind. I'm happy and I'm great with it and I love what I'm doing now, but I look at it as part of the process, not like a comfy life that I've created, you know?
That's cool though. You still feel like you're fighting to make because I think you have a lot of talent as a podcaster, but the thing with podcasts, it takes time of just doing it over and over and over to get people to even try it out, never mind become fully addicted to it. So it's like the kind of thing that you stay committed to it. it'll grow, but it's like it really takes that commitment because it's not viral like a fucking 60-second YouTube or Instagram clip, you know?
No, and I learned that lesson, and I feel like maybe I was kind of spoiled, like from having a bunch of followers and MTV, you know, very engaged fans, and like when I first put out the podcast, it was just crickets, and I was like,
really,
fuck, I was devastated, and I was like, man, nobody cares, maybe nobody accepts my new, you know, this is the real me, nobody fucking cares, and it took a while. And I learned that. And I learned about sort of building a true audience. Because here's the other thing. Once you have them in podcasting, they don't leave easily either, right? Because now they've dedicated an hour a day, 2 hours, whatever, to you. And to truly becoming a fan, they've sat and listened to you talk into a microphone. So now they really feel connected with you, unlike, you know, if you were famous on social media, that goes away tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think whenever it takes longer to build, they also are more engaged, you know?
Yeah. It's like the fucking, we haven't even mentioned our favorite brothers yet. Fucking Jake Paul and Logan Paul. It's kind of like when everybody goes in on Logan Paul, it's like you don't watch his videos. Like it doesn't matter. Like his fans don't give a fuck if everybody's freaking out about him right now.
No, they love it. They love it. They're like, oh my God, Logan Gang or whatever. Like,
when he monetized his fucking apology, that's when I knew he really didn't give a shit.
He did?
Yeah. Because it's like, it got like 60 million views. So it's like, I get it. I get that you didn't want to give up the 60 million views worth of ad revenue.
Oh, man, he does not give a shit. He does not give a shit.
But let's just call a spade a spade. Jake Paul, it's so hilarious that like his merchandise that he wears all the fucking time is a direct bite of Young and Reckless, but not like some old Young and Reckless design from 8 years ago. It's like the shit that you had out like when I did your interview, I saw him with his merch, like, you know, a couple weeks later, I sent it to you. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It was like stuff that you still had in
the
stock.
office when you were there. Yes, it's still on the website, I think.
How do you do that if you're Jake Paul? Like, you could rip off a logo from 10 years ago, maybe. You can't rip off a current logo that is in the stores.
But here's the thing. That's why they are the worst. The same reason why you're going to put a dead guy's body on YouTube or run around Japan with, like, making weird sort of borderline racist jokes is the same reason you're just going to knock off this thing that you saw. Like, it's just zero integrity.
Yeah.
There is not an ounce of integrity in that family.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, I guess it's the new way to fucking become a superstar. But the only thing that bothers me is, and once again, not that I'm Mother Teresa, but what bothers me is when kids are seeing that that's how you become rich and famous now. So it's not from like, you know, learning how to be an actor, learning how to be a musician, even if you want to be in entertainment, right? That still takes time and discipline and acting a certain way. And in, you know, the way that it was and still is in most industries is you do some racist or some crazy shit or get accused of sexual assault, you're out forever. Like Kevin Spacey, all the Weinstein, all these guys are gone. No question about it. These guys, they don't work by those rules. They can do whatever the hell they want. And so kids are watching that and saying, that's how I become rich and famous. So there's 12-year-olds running around a mall, like making racist jokes and like kicking old ladies on camera and thinking that that's it. That's the part that like, it's like, come on, man, you have a responsibility a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, man, especially, this shows how fucking bored and high I was. I went and I watched 3 Jake Paul vlogs in a row, his most recent vlogs. I really didn't know how weird this shit was. Like, I thought he was just making regular vlogs of him living his regular life. He is standing in the front yard just doing weird shit that little kids will like. Like, he's just, boom, hop in the car, do a bunch of donuts, you know, get your friend to drive his car off a launch ramp. Like, fucking, it's like, and that's what scares me is just knowing that my nephews, I have a 2-year-old nephew and a 4-year-old nephew. If Jake Paul keeps us going, by the time my one nephew is like 10, he's going to be watching this shit, and that's really unfortunate.
My little cousin, who's like, I don't know, got to be 12 at the most.
He's into it?
When I went home for Christmas, she was like, you want to know who my favorite celebrities are? And I'm like, who? And Justin Bieber, great. Jake Paul and Logan Paul. And I'm like, no, man, no. Like, no. Because they're just, I don't know, man. Once again, I try, every time I go to like, too righteous, I back out mentally, but it's just like, that's what all kids are going to be imitating. Yeah. And they're making so much money and they're so famous. That is all the validation that these young kids need to like, that's who they want to be. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's why it's depressing.
I don't know how you're like a 22-year-old and all of a sudden you're running like a kid's YouTube. Like, people give me shit for being 34 and like making content that might appeal to teenagers, but it's like, His shit is straight up like little kid stuff. It's so weird. I just want to get that out there.
Little kids. Yeah.
Really weird.
I agree.
What you got going on? Anything planned that we should know about coming up? Any thanks you want to throw out there?
The main thing is the podcast, man, and the content stuff. I also just started a YouTube show called Group Chat with my business partner, D, who what we try to do on that is like, can we cover like sexual assault allegations, a new album that came out. GoPro is having trouble and just laid off 200 employees. ESPN's firing their president, right? It's just kind of anything culture wrapped up into one thing, and relatively, like, he's a pretty smart guy, way smarter than I am, right? So he talks about all the facts and all the whatever, we comment on it, whatever. So that's our new thing. That's on YouTube. But
that sounds cool. I got to check that out.
Check it out and tell me what you think, for real.
For sure.
Because you do this for real. So I'll send you a link to the newest one that comes out tomorrow. But I really want your opinion.
Yeah, because I think about doing like news type content all the time, and I always just think about like what it might look like if No Jumper was doing the news.
Yes, and I agree, and I think you should figure it out. And what I've noticed, even though it's still needs polished, very much so, the difference between this and Short Story Long is, on Short Story Long, I got to wait. Got to get a guest, got to get them in here, got to hope that they're good on the mic, right? That makes a huge difference. Got to prepare, got to whatever. On Group Chat, literally, we go upstairs and look for 5 minutes at the current events. We pick the 10 that we feel the best about, and then we just talk about it. And it's like, if you can start to own where people get their news, you have so much power, and it's so much broader of an audience than just interviews.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that.
So that's what I'm on, and I think for you that'd be huge, especially because you have such a genre, right? But so anyway, that thing, the podcast, I'm just content, man. I'm trying to. It's something you know, obviously, very, very well. I really want to start doing vlogs, but it's so hard for me.
Yeah. Well, now all of a sudden I got a cameraman following me around, so I don't have to fucking vlog myself.
But you made it, Adam.
Yeah. When I seen Lil Pump the other day, he goes, "Damn, Adam went from holding cameras, now you got a cameraman."
Yeah, bro.
I was like,
made it.
I was like, man, I didn't think there was anything wrong with holding the camera, but shit, I guess that's a good point.
Yep. That's when the transition happens, right? To like, that's when you made it. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Content, man.
I'm hyped. Hey, if you enjoyed the full hour and 30 or so minutes of this podcast, I always try to throw a hashtag out there that they could use in the comments to prove that they made it all the way to the end.
Ooh,
so
good.
You have any sort of like nonsense phrase or just something stirring around in your head that you might want them to use for the hashtag?
Hashtag fuck the Paul brothers.
Wow, I like it. There you go.
Is that too much?
Well, yeah, no, it's cool. And also, you might want to leave a second comment that is Puck the Paul brothers, just in case there's some sort of swear filter on YouTube, which I don't know that there is.
That's way better, because Puck the Paul brothers is funnier anyway.
Puck
the Paul brothers.
Meaning,
Puck the Pauls.
If you see him around, throw a hockey puck at him.
Puck him.
Don't hit him in the eye or anything, but
Get
toss it their way. Anyway, appreciate it, man.
Thank
this
you,
is dope.
Man. This was great.
Everybody go check out Drama's podcast. It's been good talking, man. Appreciate you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
You're the man.
No Jumper. Coolest podcast in the world. Check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, nojumper.com. Get a kendama. Peace. I'm rolling like an LP, we got no jumper. I'm rolling like an LP, we got no